1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ça va? Vous êtes prêts? Tout va bien. Ok. Hop. Welcome, friends and colleagues. Once again, we're coming close to you know what, and once again, we cannot meet on campus. So, but nevertheless, it's becoming a tradition. I will try this year to do it in English. And that's because I want to share my thoughts about communication and about our international commitment. You know, I want to reach out to all of our international students. I want to tell them that I really do care about them. And I can assure them that some of my colleagues also do care about them. And I can assure them that our great leaders and the administration of this university, they do not always have the time to tell us how much they appreciate each and every one of us. But that's because they are so busy, they are occupied with something very important called strategy. I'm not quite sure what it is, and of course it's not of my business. I looked at the official websites, and I think strategy is something about our great leaders. They want to arrive at that, I think, around, in a few years from now, around 2030, I think they hope to be there. And what it's about, it's something about, it says a lot about sustainable. I think our leaders want to be sustained. I think that's what strategy is about. But nevertheless, that's not what I know anything about. I want to talk about, and I care about, our international students. I've been working with international students for a long time at 5 different Danish universities and 2 in France for a short visit as an exchange professor. And it's been many years, and I remember, yes, I know, not too many anecdotes, but when I was a young teacher at another university, I had to step in for the professor to teach a class of international students. And I said, well, Professor, what do you want me to do? And he said, well, you know, just throw some communication models at them, you know, give them a little bit semiotics and maybe a Freudian symbolism, critical analysis, something like that, you know, and then give them some commercials to criticize it. At the end, that always works. So I said, okay, I can do that. And I came to the class and I lectured up and down about communication models, Shannon and Weaver, and how to criticize that, and blah, blah, blah. Ashwell's formula, AIDA, all of that, you know, the drill. And it was mainly Chinese students in this class, and nobody said a thing. So, but I spoke really clearly, and I urged them to participate, and I gave them an advertisement from a magazine. It was on paper in those days, and it was a magazine advertisement for Marlboro cigarettes. And I said, look at this wonderful clean landscape, farm, green trees, blue sky, the air is clean, you can see far the mountains in the distance with snow on them. And look, there is a horse, a stallion. Maybe could you try to interpret that? Or maybe give me some critical analysis of that. Maybe use some Freudian theory to explain. That was, Freud, that was what we talked about in those days, to explain what's going on here. Nobody said a word, so I walked close to the dance with him and right up to one guy and I said, please tell me, what do you think? What do you think about this? And he bowed several times, even though he was sitting down, he was clearly bowing. And then finally he said, well, I urged him, Marlboro is good. And that's when I realized that it's very interesting to talk about communication with different international students. And the critical analysis might have something to do with the cultural environment and climate, and there might be some things there to consider when you work with international students. So, but enough of those anecdotes. Back to our university. When I first came here, I heard it might have something to do with strategy at that time. The saying was that, it's good to have international students because there's something extra. No, that's not what it was. No, they said, it's good to have international students just as long as it doesn't cost any extra expenses. And now I've recently heard that the new version of that is that it's good to have international students because they are something extra that's expendable. I don't quite know what expendable means. I had to look it up in my dictionary, which happens to be a film dictionary. I saw Expendable. It's a film, actually a film series. I think with Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, guys like that. Really, really tough guys. And I think that's a wonderful way of looking at international students, like the expendable ones. It's these tough guys that keep coming back, even though they're not welcome anymore. I think it's a great way to look at it. I remember one student. Yes, I know, not too many anecdotes, but I remember one student, I think he was from Pakistan, who unfortunately never came back. I was having a class, early morning class with 120 international students in my house at that time, and I got a message in the break on my little Nokia communicator who said that there was a student from Pakistan, Mr. Singh or something, who, no names, there was a problem with his papers and he probably couldn't stay in the country anymore. He would have to be sent back home. And so I went down, and it was in the break. I found him among the other many students. I said, please, if your name is so-and-so, I think you better walk with me to the administration's office because there's something that needs to be cleared up. And he said, yes, okay. And he didn't look too happy. And it was a long walk across campus. And it was a cold October morning. So to cheer him up, I thought, what can I do? Well, what do we do in Denmark? We talk about the weather. So I said, it's getting rather cold now, isn't it? And immediately he stopped and said, Professor wants my coat? And that again, that's where I realized international students are just like Danish students. I mean, what Danish students wouldn't do that? I mean, I'm sure it happens to my colleagues all the time. So I was really pleased with this, but unfortunately, this student never came back. So, yes, strategy, yes, and the expendable ones, yes, but wonderful experiences we have. And there are several more anecdotes, but no, I won't go into that. But a few years ago, I was a bit worried when we got a new central administration. I was a bit worried because up till then I had been sending off, as I was the coordinator of the international students coming to the communication department on the bachelor level. I was used to send out information, emails to these new students about what they could expect when they came to us and explaining the semester and so on. And I thought they needed some special introduction. And I couldn't do that anymore because as the new head of the administration, the new head of the new administration told me she could... I can see no reason to treat international students any differently than Danish students. I thought about that a lot. Equality, that's a good principle. But I was still worried that they didn't get the information they needed, and students that were coming were very, very confused. And usually we had to find them someplace else. They didn't find our department at all. So I took it to a feedback meeting where we could present all the problems with the new administration to the director of the university. Doesn't get much nicer than that. And I told him, you see, Mr. Director, I think I have a small problem. I would like to send some information to the new international students, but the new administration, they won't let me. So couldn't we do something about that? And he said, oh yes, I hear what you're saying. And isn't it wonderful that we now have a new and very efficient administration and a new strategy, and everything will be taken care of. And the new administration, mind you, they're very busy. Yes, but it's exactly because the new administration is so busy, I would like to help them and send out the information that, in my experience, the new students really need before they arrive here. And he said, yes, well, I hear what you're saying. And isn't it wonderful that we now have a new and very efficient administration that will take care of everything. And please don't disturb them anymore. So, of course, I think everybody should not be disturbed. They should be left in peace, unless, of course, it was their work that should. Anyway, I expanded my own website with the information to the international students, telling them about the semester, an overview of the semester. There was an FAQ, frequently asked question, FAQ, on my website. Yes, very, very modern FAQ. I have to learn that. And there was a graphic overview of the semester. It's still there. And I put in something about how group formation, differences between the different workshops, how to deal with oral exams, project report requirements, and all of that. And it worked once the student got here. And if they wrote me in advance, I could just direct them to my website and problems were solved. That worked really well, and it still does, I think. But I do still get some confused questions, like there was one. Sorry, it's another anecdote. Yes, yes. A Polish student, I think, Krystyna or something, and she, I think it was, is no names. She, who said, I am wondering when I see the information that I get from stats and study group decay and the administration, they tell me that I need to be in 2 different places 80% of the time and be very active. And I find that hard, as long as I also have to take care of a job 2 days a week. So I get some questions like these, and I thought about answering by saying, don't you also have a dog to take care of in the evening? Or children, maybe? But I guess irony might not work. I heard something about that. And we have different conceptions in different cultures about irony and sarcasm and humor and all of that. But it reminded me of what the chief of the administration told me, that there's no need to what a slip of the tongue. There's no need to treat international students differently from Danish students. So, of course, I could write back to her, you're confused about the 80% attendance rule? Don't worry about that. The Danes are confused too. Okay. Finally, I got around to explain it all, and also showed her where my website was and where she could find the answer to this. And I think I'm looking forward to see her next semester. Yeah. Then recently I got another question from a student with a name I can't pronounce, so I really don't know if it's a he or a she, and that of course doesn't matter today at all. But this student wrote me, I have tried to find some information about what a speech workshop is about and how a speech workshop is different from other workshops. I've looked everywhere on the official websites and on Study Group Decay and so on, and I can't find any relevant information about it. Could you please help me? And of course I could do that, but I thought it's really strange. It must, our very efficient administration, I mean, they've been working for some time now, and they must have that information put out there somewhere, on the website somewhere. So I started searching myself, and it's not always easy for students to find things on the Study Group Decay, as it's called, and sometimes you have to search a little bit. It's like going to the dark side of the net, or things that are even more gloomy, like Intra, or there's something called Moodle. And beware, you do not simply walk into Moodle. No, you have to have your Rook ID and passwords and so on. Otherwise, you can't get in there. So it doesn't really help students who don't have that access yet. But even without passwords or special access or anything, I found an official website that explained what is the difference between speech workshops and other workshops. And I'll read it to you because I was really impressed. I mean, I've been teaching about speech and rhetoric and and also video workshops. So I think I know the difference because I've done this for about 30 semesters. But I've never come across such a clear and crisp and brilliant explanation of what a speech workshop is about and how it's different from other workshops. It's fairly short, and but I'll read it to you, and maybe I can put it into this video later with a little bit of in the video, but we'll see. But here's what it says. There are very big differences from the oral dissemination, where you only have to convey yourself, to media where you can think in progress. And of course, that explains the difference between oral dissemination, that's what I used to call speech, but okay, oral dissemination and other workshop, because there are big differences from the oral dissemination where you only have to convey yourself, to media, that must be like video and so on, where you can think in progress. I mean, that is amazing, isn't it? I think maybe I'll have to go and look at my website and revise it, the explanations there, because our new efficient administration, backed up by our great leaders and their strategy, no doubt, they have explained this so well to all international students that it is crystal clear. And the most amazing thing about it is how efficient they are and how updated it is. It's from, it was last updated in, the 8th of July. Oh, that's during the summer. That's amazing. That's when the rest of us are on vacation, but the administration, they're still working there. During summer vacation, they're still working, putting this out. They really know how to communicate to international students. Yeah, so it's on the 8th of July, 2006. 2016. I thought at first it was the time, but it is the year. It was the year 2016. This was last updated during the summer, but it's still a very efficient work, and it does go to show how well our administration and our leaders know how to care about and communicate to our international students. And I understand quite well why they never troubled to ask me how this should be done, because, well, I really do not have much experience in this field. But nevertheless, I hope that we will still have in the future international students coming to us, that they keep coming back, expendable as they are, tough guys as they are. I do hope you international students will come back, and I wish you all the best. And I wish, of course, also all the best for our busy leaders and administrations who are so busy working on strategy. I'll hope you find some someday. And I also wish all of the best to those of my colleagues who care about international students. Really the best to both of you. And to all of my Danish colleagues and Danish students, I wish you all the best as well. And you're welcome to look at my website, because I do not really see why I should treat Danish students any different from international students. So, and with these words, I just want to say thank you very much for listening to my oral dissemination